Alright, now, verse 17, which says, never stop praying. Now, it seems hard at first, because on the surface it seems like what it's saying is that you talk to God nonstop. But I don't believe that's what it's saying. I believe there is several different ways to pray. Some of them verbal, some of them not. And I believe that verbal prayer is a very good thing because you can't have a relationship with somebody without talking to them. But, and here's the part that most people miss, we have to listen to God too. We have to listen for His Word. We have to listen to what He says. We have to study the Word. Because that in itself is a form of prayer. Because prayer is communication. It's nothing more than a fancy word for communication with God. So when you study the Word, sometimes He'll reveal things to you. Sometimes when you're listening to a sermon or a radio program, or even just reading a book, listening to music, He'll reveal things to you. So you have to have your ears open more often than you talk. It's in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. It says somewhere, be slow to speak and quick to listen. So we have to learn to listen more than we talk. Because if you're in a relationship, let's just for an example use a romantic relationship, and all you do is talk about yourself. You talk about your problems, your needs, your wants, the things that are going on in your life, and you never listen to the other person. That relationship is not going to go well. So we have to learn to listen, and that is another form of prayer, just listening to God. And here's the one that I think most of us miss. I'm sure there are a lot of people who've gotten this, because there are a lot of people who have been Christians who have been walking with God far longer than I have. But it's taken me years to finally get this. I've always heard of something called an attitude of prayer, and for years it bugged me because I didn't know what that was. I hate not understanding things. I understand a lot about the Bible, and so when something comes up, I don't really like it. But when people talked about having an attitude of prayer, I just didn't get it. And I asked God about it, I prayed, and I read the Word, and I think I finally stumbled onto the answer. An attitude of prayer is a place where you're at in your relationship with God, where no matter what happens, you can find something to relate to God. You're like, for instance, you're walking along and you see a beautiful park. It's got a little stream flowing through. It's got trees going on, a bench set over there, pigeons on the ground. People walking around, and instantly the beauty just hits you. And I'm not saying you have to be a Christian to appreciate beauty, but with the attitude of prayer, you go one step further. Not only do you appreciate the beauty, but you stop and you thank God for that. And you think, He comes to your mind that God made trees. God built parks. And, He made the grass grow. He made the water. He made the animals and people. He made all this beauty so that we could appreciate it, so that we could have something to show us what He's like. Something, show us a small part of Him. Or anything. You get into a fight and instantly you see what you did wrong, and you know how you should have handled it, and you pray to God about it, and you try and figure out how He would handle it. You get into situations, and no matter what situation you're in, your first thought is to go to God, no matter what. I believe that is the essence of an attitude of prayer. And there may be more details I'm not aware of, but I believe that is the basic attitude of prayer. That when you get into any situation or you see something, that you find ways to relate it to God and the things He has revealed to you and the things He wants to reveal to you. Because there's so much that God wants to reveal to us that if we don't learn to relate things to Him, we'll never get it, because our minds are... We only use 10% of our brains, most of us. And God His brain is so much bigger. It says in Isaiah that just as the clouds are higher than the earth, so His ways are higher than our ways. What He thinks is so far beyond what we think, we can't even begin to fathom it. So if we can't find simple things like I'm sitting here looking at a desk, and it's beautiful. The quality and everything is beautiful. The trees. I mean, someone took great care to design that desk, just as God took great care to design us. He put everything in the right place. He put, our eyes where they would have optimum range of vision. He put our fingers where they would be optimally placed to reach out, touch things, grab things, and fill the world. And he put our brain, the part that needs the most protection, behind a thick skull, thick bone, and muscle and skin. Or not muscle, but but behind thick bone and skin, so they would be protected. God put a lot of care into designing humans. So that is what I believe an attitude of prayer is. To be able to relate anything to God. Well, almost anything. There are some things that will not relate. Anything that is sinful will not relate, except for the I shouldn't be doing that aspect of it. You can look at sin, and most people can tell, at least in early age, as you grow and get desensitized, you won't be able to recognize it. But most people can tell what sin is when they see it, or when they hear about it, or someone's talking about it. They can tell what sin is, but as we choose to sin, we do become desensitized. So choose not to sin, because it really does break God's heart. But I'm getting off topic again. So that's an attitude of prayer. That is what I believe an attitude of prayer is. And if we learn to experience that, if we learn to have that attitude, I believe that we will grow exponentially closer to God than we ever could without it.